Well, hello everyone. Today we're working on this dryer. It performs normally, acts normal. It just will not heat. So I'm thinking it's either a thermostat or a high limit fuse or whatever you call it, or the actual heating element that produces all of the heat that the fan blows over. So we're going to take it apart and clean it and see what we can find. So for tools, I'm using a shop vac to help clean all the dust, a magnetic tray to hold the screws, otherwise I will lose them or they'll fall and the dog or the cat will pick them up. I have a Phillips screwdriver, and then I have my impact driver with a Phillips head on it, so I can either take it apart, take the screws out, or put them back together quickly. And then my meter for testing. And then I have a new light that Shelly and Emily got me for Christmas, so I'll be moving that around to be able to see what I'm doing, hopefully. First thing I did was, of course, I've pulled it out from the wall and I've disconnected the dryer vent hose from the wall. And then we have to unplug it. And of course, this is 220, so you don't want to touch any of the metal prongs coming out. And then I've already removed the clamp that holds this on, so this just goes right off. And one thing to check is to make sure it's not full of dust, because it could be that it's stopped up overheating and blowing the fuse. You can see we have a little, but not too much. On this dryer, I think we can remove the back with the screw here, here, and here. And this whole assembly comes out, and we may be able to test the three items that I'm thinking of that could be wrong from back here. And then depending on which one is broke, we may have to take the dryer apart in the front and even take it apart further than that. So let me take this off and we will see what we find. Okay, I'm going to take these out. And this should slide out. And as you'll see, it has some dust on it, so you can vacuum that off. And in here, if it's dirty, I go ahead and vacuum it out. As you can see, I've got some lint right there, so I need to get rid of that. So with the meter, I'm going to be checking for continuity, and that means that electricity can flow through these parts that we're checking. So I set my meter here to the continuity checker. See if I can get it to focus. There we go. And then I turn on sound. So when my red and black wires touch together, it makes a sound. And it should be that if we hear that sound, we have continuity and the part should be good. So we'll give that a try and see what happens. Okay, we're going to go inside the opening here at the bottom of the back of the dryer. And what we're looking for is we have one of these is a thermostat, I think. One is an over limit switch, so I'm not for sure which one is which, but they should both have continuity, so it should beep. And then the one up front with the red and blue, this one here, I think that's for the actual heating element. So we're going to take our red and black and try to touch and see if these are good. And it's going to be fun one-handed. In tight quarters. So those are good. Now we're gonna go to this one. Okay, we're gonna try this again. I've got one of my test probes stuck in the wire, and then I'll try to take the black and hit the other probe. Hit the other wire coming out, and we have continuity, so that should be good. So then we'll move on to the heating element. Alright, I'm checking the last one, which is the element, and I'm not getting any beeps, so I'm thinking that's the problem. So now we need to disassemble this dryer so we can figure out how I can get this out of there. So stay tuned. Okay, we're still behind the dryer. I think we're going to need to remove this screw, and that will let me take the top off, and then we can see where to go from there. Okay, those did not want to come out, but I finally got it broke loose, so now it just slides out. And this is why I use this magnetic pan, because if I knock it off, they probably won't fall. So it looks like this just pulls off. And there's the inside of the dryer. So up here on the top, I think we're going to have to remove this one, and this one, and that'll let us lift this console up, and then we can take the front piece off. And since this is plastic, I may go ahead and use the screwdriver instead of the drill. Okay, I've removed all those screws, and this just, I think it lifts up. Yes. And then if you look back here, right down there, there's a set of wires we've got to unplug, and I think they just unclip, but let me look at that. Okay, actually I didn't unhook them yet. I left them hooked to see if we need to take them apart later. But there's these little clips that the front control panel was clipped to down in here. So I just had to lift up gently and it came up. To take off the front cover, it looks like we've got to take these two and these two off. And then there's these little tabs. We're going to have to press down a little bit or lift the front of it up off of this. And we may have to take off some of these. So let me look at that and we'll be right back. Okay, I wound up taking these two off. One here and one here. And then this one. And then I had to take off the one here and here. And this just lifts out. And then I had one here and here and here. And then there's one here and one here on the door. And then to lift the door off, you have to raise it up and pull out because there's a screw on the back that hooks in. And then I had to take those two screws out right there. Okay, so hopefully now this will lift up. Okay, and we got a door switch here. It just pulls out, there's no clip. And the front is off, as you can see, it sits on those lips down there. And it's a little dusty. So we'll have to clean that off before we put it all back together. Well, as you can see, it's a little dirty. So I'm going to vacuum that out first, and then what we're trying to get to is back in here. So I think we have a screw right here, and then right here, and then I think we can pull the assembly out. I know on some of the instructions I found, it had you taking the whole thing, the whole dryer drum out, and I was trying to avoid that, so that's good. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up everything along the front, and I may go ahead and pull this panel off here and vacuum everything out just to make sure no lint is left that could catch on fire or prevent it from working properly. So let me do some vacuuming and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I've got all this cleaned up. Before I dig in here, I'm going to go ahead and try to take off this duct here and see if I can clean it out. And once it's clean, I shouldn't have to take it back off, so I can at least put it back together. Because no matter what we find wrong, we're probably going to have to order parts, and that'll probably take a day before they come in, unless I can find some local. And then we'll have to put it all back together. And I forgot to say, this dryer was made in 2011, so it's almost 7 years old. And this is the first time we've had to replace anything, so that's pretty good. And I forgot to tell you, I'm making money. Found a dime. So yeah, it's a little dirty. I probably could have cleaned it just by taking the lint filter out, but this way I can get down in here, and then down there is the blower motor. So I can clean that out, clean all those blades off, and it should look new. Okay, that looks a little better. So there we go. It's a lot cleaner now. I'll go ahead and put this vent back on since it won't need to be removed to replace the parts. Okay, I finally started getting this out. What I'm having to do is take my screwdriver and pry on these terminals to get them started, and then they'll come right off. I say they'll come right off. There it is. Okay. And there's this assembly. So we're going to go through and double check all of these and verify that it's the element that's bad. Of course, take it apart to clean it, and then we'll have to order the element if that's what it is. Before I take this all apart, I'm just going to test it and make sure what's bad and what's good. So as we test here and here, we should be good. Test here and here, so that's good. Test here and here, nothing. So again, I think the heating element is bad. And to remove it after you've taken the wires off, there's little tabs. Hopefully you can see them right here that you've got to bend back around. And then this will allow this to slide out, and this will come off by taking the Phillips screwdriver and taking that out, and hopefully the heating element will slide out. Okay, I've cheated just a little bit here. So I could not get these terminals to bend, so I wound up cutting the wire on the other side since I know this element's bad. So I can take out the element, but hopefully you can see, maybe. Nope, it's not going to focus. There we go. There's a little tab right there. That's what I've got to straighten out to be able to get these out. So I'll just have to work on that separately. But I took out a screw here, 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 down here, down here, and right down there. And then hopefully this will lift off. It's got a little lip right here. So let me see if I can get that off. And here's our heating element. Right here. So usually it's broke somewhere, but I'm not seeing it yet, which would indicate where it failed. So I'll have to look and see if I can find it. But usually it's broken somewhere. So I'll see if I can find it. Okay, I finally found it. It's right here. It was broken right there. So it's definitely the element. So we'll have to order a new one of these. And for my Samsung, it's a DC470019A. So I'm sure Amazon has something if I can't find anything local. And then I'm going to go ahead and clean in here because as you can see, it's just a bit dirty. So there's my pile of screws and parts and the dryer halfway taken apart. So we can leave this here for 4 or 5 weeks and it'll be absolutely fine. No, we'll fix it as soon as we can. Okay, the part has arrived. So as you can tell, this is the old one. And of course it was broken right here. And here's the new one I got off of Amazon for, I think it was like $15 or $16. I did notice some posts on some sites where people were saying it was costing around $300 to have these replaced if they called somebody, so saving a little bit of money. And my helper is here, apparently. Poot, are you helping? So she'll supervise me. We'll get this back together and I'll show you how to connect the wiring harness. Nope, she's going to be right in the way. These little pieces right here, we're going to have to bend a little tab once we insert it through the porcelain, but I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, I've got this complete unit reassembled with the new heating element in there. All the screws back together. See if I can get it to focus. Okay, so this is the little piece of porcelain that we ran the tabs through, and if you can see right where that porcelain is, there's that little, looks like a little wing. We're going to bend that to keep this tab from moving. And that locks it in. So once the wire's on, this won't come out. And we'll have to do the same to the one back behind it. I'm gonna bend this one a little bit more. It's gonna take both hands. Whoa. Okay, I finally got those tabs bent. Now this wire, or this terminal, will not come out of this little porcelain block. So now I can start putting this part back together and then plug the wires in and then start the big reassembly process. Okay, well, it's back together and it's running, and so far nothing's on fire. So we're gonna let it run and see what happens. Hopefully it's warm in there. Okay, it appears to be working, and the only thing left over parts wise is the dime I found, and Shelly told me I could spin that however I wanted to. So it's been going for about 5 minutes. We'll pause it and stick my little temperature gauge in here. And right now it's, yep, it's about 103 out for, and climbing. So the thermometer is adjusting, so it looks like it's heating up just fine. Because in the room it's about, yep, so I'd say it's working perfectly. Thanks for watching.